Teachers in Durham, Ontario had to attend an inclusiveness training course for the deep breath here, LGGBDTTTIQQAAPP community, which is apparently a community. That 15-letter acronym intended to encompass all sexual minorities. It may soon be required at schools. Stephen LeDrew is a former president of Canada's Liberal Party, and he joins us tonight. Stephen, thanks for coming on.
Hi, Tucker.
So what does this acronym mean specifically? What are the categories?
Well, I mean, it's generally shortened to LGBTQ, which is the communities, and there's a few extra ones they've added in there. And no one goes by that. Maybe that's to teach kids the alphabet or not, but generally it's referred to, and the Prime Minister referred to it yesterday in the House of Commons during his apology, as LGBTQ. And some people don't even know what it means, but they just know that means inclusiveness. It's a good thing. It's a question of tolerance.
Right, of course. But I guess what piqued my interest was the addition of new letters, each representing a new category. And I'm not against it, kind of confused by it. And I just want to know what it means. Do you know what the acronym stands for? Do you know what those 15 groups are?
What's the problem with it? You know,
I'm not saying, but hold on, slow down. I'm not saying there is a problem with it. I'm just asking what it is, because defining the terms is the first step to understanding them and then accepting them. So what is it?
Well, I mean, you've got in front of you. You have me at a disadvantage on that one because, to be very candid with you, as I said, everybody in Canada knows what LGBTQ, sometimes a two in the end, means. But that long one, quite frankly, until your producers showed it to me, I hadn't seen it. But then I looked at it, and you have all the definitions through there.
Okay, that's fine. But then why do you think it's a good thing if you don't know what it is?
But what's the matter with it?
Well, I don't know what I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, you could hand me a box and say there's something great inside, and my answer would be, okay, what is it? I mean, I don't pronounce things great until I know what they are, but you don't have that problem. So, I'll get specific with you. And this is meaningful because teachers are being taught this, kids will be taught it, and I think I have a right to non-judgmentally ask what they're talking about. So, for example, what's two-spirit?
Well, two-spirit sounds like there's someone they don't know whether they're fish or fowl. They don't know whether they're frick or frack. So they're clearly confused. And, again, if you're confused, what better place to go than to be at school? So, I mean, all those categories, I'll bet you, Tucker, all those categories that are in that long litany that you laid out there, I'll bet you that no one, well, maybe 5 people in all of Canada, could lay out what exactly those are. But if someone feels that they are a better person, that they are more included in society, that there's someone else in society, some teachers, who understand them or who want to understand them, that's what Canada's about.
No, hold on, wait, no, I'm sorry. Look, I'm for people feeling included. I'm against meanness. I'm for politeness. But I also believe in the right to ask simple questions and get direct answers. So if you're teaching kids about a group, I think it's fair to define what it is. I mean, you don't know, but you're willing to say, well, it's great, and I'm baffled by that because maybe it's not great. Maybe we should find out what it is before we say that, no? Or is everything the teachers group think up good by definition? I
think you're absolutely right. Well, no, I'm not saying that everything that teachers groups thinks up is good. I mean, they've had some very different things before. They had a measure last summer, and if they were in the States, they would have said, no school could be called the George Washington School. They said, get rid of that first Prime Minister of Canada. So they aren't always on par. But on this one, and to be very candid, as I said at the outset, I don't know what all those mean.
But that's the point. We all mindlessly go along. But the point is we're all bullied. We're all afraid to ask honest questions like, what is this? And what bothers me is we don't know who makes up these categories. So there are 15 different groups in this acronym. Did anyone poll them and ask, do you want to be included? Do the asexuals want to be with the allies and the pansexuals and the polyamorous? I mean, this is all made up. Nobody asked anybody, and now it's imposed on the rest of us.
Everybody wants to be included. That's what this whole thing is about. It's society, you want to be included. That's a social contract. So, no one, I'm sure, went out and polled people, and they said out of the 1,000 people, if you are that 5th category in that long line of that long litany of names that you have, no one's going to be polled on this thing. But it sounds to me that you're taking an issue with some teachers saying, let's try to bring it together. You already said
you're totally missing it. I'm for bringing people together. I think there's something inherently divisive about making up a, quote, community without asking anybody in the community if they constitute a community. And by the way, why would question, I mean, did anyone even ask? Like, who made this up? Who's making these rules? We have to abide by them, so it seems fair to ask. Like, where did this come from?
Well, it's not a rule, Tucker. That was what you're reading is something that was created by teachers. They said, let's bring all the groups in. We have these names. I'm sure there was no poll on it. I know in the States everything is run by polls, and we don't do that in Canada. They said,
because you don't care what the people think in Canada.
Pardon me?
What were you saying? You don't do polls in Canada because you don't care what your population thinks? That's not meaningful to you?
No, we do polls, but we don't run everything by polls. What I understand
you just impose it by fiat on a passive population? Is that what you're like? What point are you making?
Are you picking on our prime minister?
I'm not picking on. I'm pro-Canada. I just came to ask simple questions, as we do in this country, hoping I would get a straightforward answer, not finding one, pressing forward a little more gently, politely, respectfully, and getting nothing.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel I'm giving you nothing, because I'm giving you the honest truth. The honest truth is that most people in Canada would not know all those categories, but they would say, you know what? Even if there's 10 people out there in Durham County where this group was meeting, then that's a good thing. Bring them in. And if they're saying that they have some sexual change or some sexual option that I don't know about, well, let's all talk about it. And that's what that thing was for the meeting. It's for an invitation for everybody to come in.
So what if somebody said,
okay,
what if,
here's what we're doing.
I guess what bothers me, I mean, look, this is taking place in Canada, so it doesn't affect me or most of our viewers directly, but I just sort of wonder, because free speech is not guaranteed, as you know, in your country, and people are in prison for saying unpopular things there. I wonder what would happen to someone.
Think so.
Well, you're wrong. They are. But I wonder what would happen. What would happen to somebody who said, I'm not interested in playing along with this. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Leave me alone. Teach my kids to read and do math. That person would be dismissed as insensitive or bigoted or worse, wouldn't he?
No, they wouldn't. I mean, because we're not judgmental like that. So you're saying, from an American point of view, that person would be dismissed as bigoted. But in Canada, they wouldn't be. They say, okay, fine. That's your opinion. Others have a different opinion.
Oh, if only that were true.
And you know what?
I wish that were true. I mean, that's the country I want to live in. I want to live in a country where we can disagree. We don't call each other names. And we just sort of agree to disagree. But that's not the country you live in, and increasingly that's not the country I live in.
Oh, it is. It is the country that we live in, Canada. There's a big difference between the United States and Canada, and that's one of the differences. And I asked you, Tucker, to tell me who's in prison in Canada for saying something wrong. We have a great free speech.
People are prosecuted for hate crimes in Canada for expressing things that are unpopular. And that's Canadian law. Mark Stein got sued over this. Yeah, okay.
No,
all right,
you know what?
Stephen, we're in a factual dispute in which you were in the wrong, but that's another show. I hope you will come back and we can talk about that in some detail. But in the meantime, thank you. Liberals say they love the poor. Of course they do, and liberals run every major city in this country. So why is there so much